I found her TikTok about me after we went on a date. This is honestly not something I expected to post about, but here's the thing. I have known this woman, 28 female, for a while since we are in the same friend group. She's a nice person, attractive, and honestly, I've always enjoyed my talks with her. A few weeks ago, I, 26 male, asked her out on a date. I figured if she says no, it's fine, but she actually agreed. We went on a date this past Saturday, and honestly, I thought it was awesome. We went out to dinner, had drinks, spent the rest of the night talking, and we even took a walk on a walking bridge over the town's lake. I dropped her off and was elated. I absolutely loved the night. However, that night when I was scrolling through TikTok on my bed, a post from her I didn't follow nor knew she had a TikTok appeared on my For You page. Essentially, she said in the post, "Getting ready for a date I really don't want to go to." I was like a bucket of ice water being thrown on my head. I was so freaking happy, and I just found out she didn't even want to go on a date with me. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying she has to want it, but please let me know if that's the case. We don't need to go out. We can forget I ever asked her out, but doing this on the internet, it made me self-conscious. Now I'm unsure about what to do. Should I tell her I saw this or just forget about it? Honestly, it really hurt me, and I'm not really sure I want to give this another try. I mean, she didn't want to go out with me in the first place, right? Hey everyone, some people have reached out to me through comments or chat asking for an update on the situation. Sadly, there isn't much to share at this moment, but I'll provide what I can. After last week's post, I read almost every comment, or at least most of them. I'm thankful to all those who commented and shared a bit of their personal story. Some people mentioned that anxiety is normal and feeling like not going out is definitely common, suggesting that I shouldn't look too much into it. While I agree with their perspective and see no fault in not feeling like going out, what bothered me the most in this situation was having to post a TikTok for a significant audience. I'm a private person by nature, and even my social media accounts like Instagram have only a single post. I don't really like to overly share, nor do I want to be with someone who does. It's completely fine to share whatever you want, I just don't want to be a part of it. So I decided not to contact her. I chose to pretend I had never seen the post and let things be. I understand a lot of people might think this isn't the best choice, but I feel like it's the best course for both of us. Last Thursday, a few friends who also happened to know her invited me for drinks. We went to a bar, and while we were eating and enjoying our drinks, a mutual friend asked me how my date went, as our circle was aware that we were going on a date. I didn't want to say much, so I replied, "Oh, it was good, but I don't think we clicked." The friend followed it by saying, "We figured," which made me feel rather uneasy. When I asked what he was talking about, he hesitated but eventually said that he had seen a TikTok post from her about not wanting to go out. At this point, I didn't really know what to say. This situation is just incredibly messy for me, but there's not much I can do about it. Still, I wasn't going to mention it, nor did I try to look up if there was any update on her part. In fact, I deleted TikTok after that incident. It just wasn't doing me any good. Nevertheless, this past Saturday, she sent me a text. She mentioned that she enjoyed our date and asked if I wanted to go out again. I understand that she clearly stated that she enjoyed our time together. However, I don't want to be with someone who exposes so much of their personal life. It's not something that would be good for me. So I decided to tell her the truth and sent a text explaining that while I absolutely enjoyed our date, her company, and that I thought she was an amazing woman, her post from that night of our date came across my For You page on TikTok, and it made me feel self-conscious. While I understand that she enjoyed the date, contrary to what she felt at the time of the post, I didn't feel comfortable going out with someone who had such a high level of exposure online. I wished her the best and expressed hope that she finds someone whose lifestyle aligns with hers. She has read the message and left me on read ever since. I don't think she'll reply, and I don't think we'll have a lot of social interactions going forward. I'm sorry if this wasn't the update you guys were expecting, but yeah, sadly, that's what the situation became.
I got the nickname Underwear Girl from my dad's friend. This all happened yesterday. I'm sleeping at my parents' house, and at my parents' house, they only have 2 bedrooms, so whenever I sleep over, my dad basically made like a bedroom in the garage. My boyfriend was also sleeping over, and at 7 a.m. I woke up and I had to pee so badly, and I said like, "Hey babe, let's go to the bathroom." So we got up. I was wearing like a crew neck and a pair of underwear. He was wearing like boxers, whatever, and I had to pee, and it's like a trek to go to the house, so I'm just like, honestly, like, I'll just pop a squat in the forest, like, it doesn't matter to me. So we go downstairs to pee. I'm literally about to like pop a squat and just pee, and all of a sudden I see this man, and it's my dad, and my dad is like, "What are you doing? Like, go inside to pee, please. Like, I didn't raise no wild animal." And I'm like, "Yeah, but you did." So my dad's like, "Spencer, go in the house to go pee." And I was like, "Dad, I'm too scared because it's like pitch black outside and we live in like a forest on like 100 acres on a dirt road in the middle of nowhere. I'm like, a bear is going to attack me." Now, also keep in mind, this entire time I'm in my underwear and I'm like, and I don't know what your relationship is with your father, but for me, I'm not walking around in my underwear in front of my dad. My dad and my boyfriend are really close, so when I come out of the bathroom, like to walk back to the garage, I hear my dad talking to someone, and I'm just like, hey, he's talking to my boyfriend. So I start screaming my boyfriend. I'm like, come here, man! Because I don't want to walk beside the forest by myself, like a bear is gonna eat me. My dad hears me, and he comes walking over, and he's like, relax, like, I'll walk you. I'm just talking to my friend right now. Yeah, friend, you're talking to my boyfriend. I think I was even being sassy, like, your friend has a name, like, you're talking to my boyfriend, like, I know who he is. So anyways, I start walking with my dad, and then all of a sudden I bump into this man. This is a man that I've never seen in my entire life. Also, I'm still in my underwear. Down to his feet, I look up at his head, I look back at my dad, and I'm like, you're not my boyfriend. And you think I feel awkward that I'm there in my underwear? This guy feels awkward. He's like his eyes are burning. His eyes are bleeding. He's like, I didn't see anything. I swear I didn't. And I'm like, if you say you didn't see anything, you obviously saw something. Anyways, so I turn into a runner, a track star. I sprint to that garage and I run to my boyfriend and I tell him everything that happened. Later that day, I'm coming back from a hot girl walk with my mom and I see that same man on my driveway and I'm like, Taco Taco. My dad, so I walk up to him to go greet him and I'm thinking, I'm hoping he has short-term memory loss. I'm hoping he cannot remember a damn thing. And what does he say? He says, it's the underwear girl. What were you doing streaking at 7 a.m.? So that is how I got the nickname Underwear Girl, and I live to tell the tale.
You know, I like to think of myself as an equal opportunist. So let's talk about the time that I cheated. Now, I may be a little biased, but the circumstances were way different. But regardless, I'm gonna let you guys be the judge and the jury. I met my ex on season 1 of Ex on the Beach, and even though our relationship was rocky from the start, I had a lot of love for him. So much love that I gave up my entire life in New Jersey and drove all the way across the country to live with him in LA. Looking back, we definitely rushed into things, but of course, hindsight is 2020. Not to mention he was less than honest about his finances and his living situation. But again, I was in love, so I was doing anything to make it work. And then things went from bad to worse when I got called for the challenge and he didn't. It was always his dream to be on the challenge and everyone thought he was a front runner, and then I got cast. So he started to treat me even worse. It got so bad that I was crying myself to sleep every single night. And still, I really wanted to make it work. But the closer I got to my departure date, the worse he treated me. But it didn't hit me until a week before I was leaving that I wanted out of this relationship. But it's not like I could just pick up and leave and drive across the country. I was leaving for another show in a few days. And this is where I made my first mistake. Fun fact, when you film the challenge, you have to assign a social surrogate to take over your Instagram and any other social media accounts you may have to post as if you're still home. And if you don't assign a surrogate, you are not allowed to post anything until the last day of filming, so nobody knows when you're eliminated. So who do you think I made my surrogate? In my defense, I had very limited options. My mom didn't understand social media like that, and silly me thought I could trust the man that I was sleeping with every single night. I also gave him the password to my PayPal account to transfer funds as brands paid me. Again, very stupid on my part, but at this time I was living paycheck to paycheck, and again, he was the only person I thought I could trust. I also paid my rent 3 months in advance so he wouldn't have to pay my part while I was gone. Just all so dumb of me. Very, very dumb. But still, I had hope that we could work it out, and maybe we just needed this separation to realize how much we love and care about each other, and when we come home, we'll be a completely different couple. So I left all of my belongings, my car, my socials, my PayPal, all in his hands and left to go film the challenge. And it didn't take me long to start missing him because the cast wasn't that welcoming to me. The women specifically isolated me, and funny enough, they did this to one of my male castmates as well. And what happens when you put 2 people in a corner together? So over the course of the next few weeks, I got really close with this male cast member. And one night under the South African stars, we kissed. Like straight up caught in 4K. But instant karma hit me like a ton of bricks because I was eliminated the very next night. However, with the Redemption House twist, I did not go home for another week. I wasn't sure who knew about me and this person's kiss, but I got paranoid really quick. Because I didn't get along with anyone, I thought for sure someone was gonna go home or find a way to tell my boyfriend at the time that I cheated. Baby, I was ready to go home. And not because I wanted things to work with him, I really just wanted to pack up my stuff and leave and move back home. Me and my partner wound up getting sent home from the redemption house, and I was about to be back in LA. Like, no more redemption house, we were done with the game. So the first thing I did when I got my phone back was change all of my passwords, obviously. Then I checked my PayPal account and realized that my ex had stolen from me. That's a different story for a different day. Let's push on. Instead of transferring the funds I received from brands into my PayPal account, he transferred them into his. And my heart sank. I fell to the floor in my hotel room. He, of course, was the first call I made when I got my phone. And when he picked up, his eyes lit up and he just looked so happy to see me. And even though I knew that he stole from me, I felt really, really guilty for what he was about to find out. But I could also tell he had no idea what went down, so I was relieved. Now I just needed to get to LA and get my stuff out of his apartment and drive across the country before he found out. But MTV had different plans for me because even before I left from South Africa, I got a call from the head of talent at MTV saying that they wanted me as a guest on TRL in New York, so I would only be in LA for less than 12 hours before having to fly out. And who's gonna pass up TRL, you know? So after 25 plus hours traveling from South Africa to LA, I had to hop on a red eye from LA to New York and then came back a day later. And still he had no idea. 2 days later was the premiere of our show, which we watched together with another one of our castmates who happened to be my best friend. And that's when I made the mistake of telling my best friend that I cheated, because then she went and told her boyfriend, who was best friends with my boyfriend, and that's how he found out. But luckily, by the grace of God, I was already halfway across the country, baby. And that marked the end of my relationship and my friendship. Me and my ex went on to film Ex on the Beach season 2, and that was our storyline. Me cheating on him and him stealing from me opened up so many doors in the weirdest way. Would I cheat on anyone else ever again? No. Would I cheat on him again if I had the chance? Absolutely.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the story has arrived. Get your popcorn. We're gonna talk about how I got cheated on and how I walked in on my ex doing you know what with another girl. Okay, so we're going to backtrack it all the way to that morning. So I wake up, I go over to his house, I have work that day, and I'm like, hey, like I show up, there's clients, he owns a outfitter business here where I live, and I'm like, hey, like it's nice to meet you, the clients had arrived. It was a group of girls. Which, side note, it's not weird that it was girls because that happens all the time, but he rents out his house as an Airbnb to his clients, so normally he stays with me. So he was just there, like, getting them settled in and everything. So I met all of them. So I hang out there for a little bit, and then I'm like, okay, I have to leave for work. It's nice to meet y'all. And so then I leave, and he's like, can you pick me up later and take me to your house? And I was like, yeah, of course. So while I'm at work and everything, he's like acting all weird, like not Snapchatting me, which like our main communication was on Snapchat and text, like we did both. And so we're like, shoot, hold on. So he's just being really sketchy and everything all day long, and like not really answering my questions and stuff, like just not being right. And I know he wasn't working. He was just at the house hanging out with all these girls that came in town to hunt. So we're just like, I'm like confronting him about him acting weird and everything. And I'm like, dude, you're being so weird. Like, are you cheating on me? I have like a gut feeling. And he's like, no, Taylor, like you're stupid. Like you suck as a person, like blah, 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 blah. Like literally downing me all day. And so I'm like crying at work. It's fine. I'm fine. And so then he's like, I'm going to bed. Like, I'm going to sleep on the couch. Like, pick me up. I'm too drunk to drive to your house. And I was like, okay, whatever. That's fine. It's 8 o'clock. I get off work an hour early and I show up to his house and I walk in to wake him up to pick him up. And he's like on the freaking couch with this random girl. Mid taking a shot, by the way. So I walk in. I'm like, this is awkward. Like, I'm going to go home. You can stay here. So I leave. So I get home, my roommate's like, no, girlfriend, like, go back to the house and see if he's cheating on you. So I'm like, okay. So I call my other girlfriend and I'm like on the phone. And I pull up to his house and his, like, window to his living room's open. And so, like, I literally, like, army crawled. I'm on the phone with my friends. So I army crawl all the way up to his window and I'm listening. And it is so, like, I cannot make this up. Like, it is so obvious that they're about to, you know what? Because he's, like, saying, like, take off your shirt. And she's like, nah. Plus, I'm like looking through the window and watching this all unfold. So then I like bang on the door and everything, and I'm like, hey, I'm here. I walk into the house, they go running, she's hiding in the closet, he's fake sleeping, and I'm like, I know you just cheated on me. I'm better than you, I'm better than this, and you do not deserve me. So that's it.
This is the story time of one of the most disrespectful things a man has ever done to me. We are gonna call this man Sweet Green. Sweet Green and I were like not that serious. We were like seeing each other. We were fucking, okay? Sweet Green and I were fucking. That's just a casual way of me looking not like a fucking whore. I didn't really like Sweet Green that much. I really only just kept him around to, you know. And even at that point, I was like, I really wasn't even fucking with him that heavy. We just honestly, you know when you're like, I should have just never talked to this motherfucker. Like, I should have just never talked to this man. Sweet Green came over one night to hang out, and this was the night that, okay, I don't like this man. Like, I really don't like this man, and I actually need to cut things off with him because, honestly, it's not even worth it at this point because he just genuinely annoys the absolute fuck out of me. So, like, why am I keeping him around? He's just, like, wasting my energy. Like, this is so dumb. But this night at my house, I was like, oh, this is definitely gonna be our last night together. Like, I'm ending it after this, but like I wanted a goodbye fuck. To be honest, I really don't know why I did because it wasn't anything I was gonna miss. And right after we're done, this man turns to me and goes, look at this baddie in my Instagram DMs. This man was just deep inside of me, turns to me and says, look at this baddie that's in my DM. Listen, I don't know how you guys are with the men you fucked, but like, I am never going to take disrespect from any man ever in my life. That was very much not our relationship. I would never speak to him about the hoes I was fucked. Like, okay, I wasn't even fucking anyone, but I would never speak to him about my hoes. I just wasn't gonna disrespect him like that. But now I will. This man pulls up her Instagram. He's like, look, look, look. And I was like, okay, first of all, that is so fucking disrespectful. I said this to him. I'm like, that is so fucking disrespectful. I don't know what you think this is or anything like that. Like, cause he was super insecure about my TikTok. This man was so nice and so respectful up until he saw my TikToks. And I even called him out on it. I was like, hey, I feel like ever since you like started watching my TikToks, which like, don't fucking do that. That's weird. But like ever since then, you've just like changed. You became this like fuck boy. And he was like, no, I'll admit it. Like your TikToks have made me feel a certain way. Here's what I'm gonna fucking say about that. If you're not confident and secure in yourself, don't watch my TikToks. As a man, like don't watch my fucking TikToks. If it's going to make you feel some sort of way that I've talked about other men in the past, guess what? We're not fucking exclusive. And we were literally never even close to being exclusive. Like, I'm going to talk the way I want to talk. If you have an issue with it, stop talking to me. I'm not going to change what I do for a living, babe, just because it made you insecure and feel like a weak ass man. And that's all on you. That is so much to say about you and nothing to say about me. You can't handle my TikToks. Get the fuck out of the way. And if you think I'm going to bash you on TikTok, don't do dumb shit like this, babe. So when Sweet Green is looking at me and being like, look at this baddie in my DMs, I look at that man and I say, listen, it's so fucking disrespectful. I would never in my life show you my DMs because I would never want to permanently hurt your ego. No, like I was going to be a fucking bitch back to that man. I was like, he was like, no, show me. And I'm like, no, like it'll genuinely ruin your self-esteem. I would never want to do that to a man. This man is just looking at me like, but to have just fucked me and be like, look at this baddie in my DMs, you have to be a special level of insecure. Like that says so much more about you than it'll ever say about me. Like if I ever pulled up one of my other hoes to my one hoe, I'm just looking like an insecure bitch who needs to prove that I get bitches. I also feel like, one, if I wasn't very confident in myself, and if I actually liked this fucker, it would hurt my feelings. But at that point, I was like, okay, this just solidifies the fact that, like, Sweet Green no longer has a place in my life. Like, I was already done before the last disappointing fuck. Like, I'm extra done now. Like, you're not good enough for me to keep you in my life and put up with this dumb bullshit. Like, dick game ain't that strong, babe. Like, come on. But even if, like, your game was something I genuinely enjoyed, I'm never going to put up with that disrespect from anybody. Like, that is just so out of pocket to do to somebody. Like, I just genuinely, I don't fuck with men. And even the people, like, I would never do that to somebody because it's just fucking rude. Make matters 30 times worse. He was like, oh, she slid up on a photo you told me to post. This man asked me what photo he should post of him and his, like, friends. He was like, which one looks good? And I was like, I don't care. Either one. The first one. Who literally gives a fuck? And he was like, you shouldn't have let me post it. I was like, I genuinely begged. We're literally not dating. And I don't care about you enough to be like, oh my God, don't post that. Like, what? Why would I ever say that to a man? Like, no, go do your thing. You're single. Post the photo. Also, it's like, it was like just like a fucking photo. What do you mean, babe? But I think about that. I'm like, that type of shit could genuinely make a bitch insecure. And like, If a man ever does dumb shit like that to you, just remember, it says a lot more about him and his fragile ego than it'll ever say about you. Because any man that is secure in himself and his ego and who he is as a person is never going to have to prove that he gets bitches. 9 times out of 10, the men that are like, oh my God, all these bitches on my line, don't have them. They're like, oh my God, they love me so much. Like, the bitches love me. You literally don't have bitches. So Sweet Green and I have not spoken since then, obviously. Sweet Green felt like a glitch in the stimulation for me. Like, Sweet Green genuinely was like 50% off my standards this week and this week only. Like, that's what the fuck it felt like. And y'all wonder why I've never said y'all, but you guys wonder why I'm on a men's cleanse. Cause that's why. That's the type of dumb shit I was dealing with. And it's like, I look back, I'm like, bitch, why? Why? That was the most disrespectful thing a man has done to me.
Am I the asshole for making my sister cry since I quizzed her on her knowledge because she wants to homeschool her kid? I'm going to get it out of the way and say I don't like homeschooling. I think it is almost impossible to do correctly on social and educational development. This is coming from someone that went to a shitty public school. So my sister was talking about homeschooling her kid. She said her and her husband will teach her. My sister and her husband are not the brightest people, much more physically labor people than understanding math. I tried to ask if that was a good idea, but she basically said, how hard could it be? So I started quizzing her, and these were not hard questions. For example, I asked what a verb was, name the planets, and a simple math problem. I literally asked her to do division. She could only name a few of the planets, and she just gave the definition for an adjective, not a verb. Also, just completely wrong with the math. It was kind of sad. I told her the right answer and asked if she can't do it, how will she teach the kid to read or do any math? She called me a jerk and left to cry. Her husband is on my ass, but my mom thinks it was a blessing. Am I the asshole? I'm questioning myself.
Okay, so starting from the beginning, when I was like in high school, my tatas were like, I was like a B. Then I get pregnant with Berkeley and they go to double D's, like over freaking night, okay? So I breastfed Berkeley for a year, and at that point, like when I was breastfeeding, I was like a double D. And then they just went down to like a CD, right? Like I was really big for a C, but I was like smallish for a D. And I always knew I wanted to get my boobs done, especially after having kids, but I wanted to wait till all of my kids were like, I was done having kids. So I finally finished having all of my babies, and my boobs weren't bad. They were still like a size D, but they were just like, I wanted like substance up here, and there was no substance up there. Like I wanted to wear a triangle bikini and them not be like, which that's what they're doing. And this video is by no means saying that people should get a boob job. This is just like my experience and like what I want. So after I had Hadley, breastfed her, I breastfed all my kids for like the first year of their life. I knew I wanted a boob job. So I look up a couple doctors, and we go to one that I was referred to by a couple of friends. We go chit chat with this doctor, and we're like, oh yeah, let's do it. Like, I'm down. And they're like, well, cool. We have an opening in like 4 weeks. Do you want to do it? I'm like, heck yeah. So they scheduled my next appointment to like go pick my size. So let me just set the scenario for you. The day before I go pick my size, my husband has a really busy week at work, like big convention, and we go out to dinner for like his work. I got so wasted. I was so drunk. Probably one of the drunkest I've ever been. I was like puking. It was gross. The next morning, I was supposed to go at 8 a.m. pick my cup size. I roll up to go pick my cup size, and I have a vomit bowl with me. I feel like ass. I'm like looking at these sizes. They leave me in this room, and Tyler couldn't go because he has a really busy week at work. So I'm in this room trying to pick this cup size, trying not to vomit. I'm like texting him like side profiles. It was just not good, okay? So I pick a size. I pick 365. It's really weird how you measure for these things because you put the implants in a bra and it's just like not realistic. So after I leave there, I'm like questioning, did I get the right size? It comes up that my surgery is in like a week, and I'm like, okay, I want to change. I want a different size. So I call and I'm like, hey, is it too last minute, but I want to change the size. And I want to do 415. They're like, oh yeah, no, you're good. 415. You're fine. I was like nervous, but it was fine. So I come out of recovery and the poor nurse was like, she was really cussing like a lot in recovery. And he's like, oh, sorry, ma'am. So we go, and all I wanted was Chick-fil-A mac and cheese. Had I ever ate it before? No, but like that's all I was craving. And to be honest, it really was not that bad. I heard horror stories about people getting their boobs done. It really wasn't that bad. Like I was running 3.5 weeks later. I did a marathon. I got my boobs done, and I did a half marathon 9 weeks after I got my boobs done. Now, that's not to take away from people that like had a hard time, but it was just not that bad for me. That's the only thing. I've never got Botox, never got fillers, never got anything. Just my boobs done. It is literally the best thing I've ever done in my life. I am not like a crazy insecure person, but when I got my boobs done, my confidence had definitely skyrocketed. So now, post, I've had my boobs done. It will be 2 years in January. And whenever someone says, like, if you feel like you should go bigger, that's exactly what I did. And I do not regret it at all. I love my size. I literally never wear a bra ever, which, I mean, people can think what they want. If you're going to get your tattoos done, go for it, okay? If you don't want to get them done, don't get them done. I love that is the thing about like plastic surgery and whatnot, is it is a personal choice and it only affects me. So if I get my boobs done and I don't like them, or if I get them and I love them, cool.
I guess I'll start with the fact that I don't even know if this is actually a date. Him and I matched on Hinge back in February, and it was arguably one of the best first dates I've ever been on. We continued to go on a lot more dates, and I thought things were going really, really well until suddenly they just weren't. He became really quiet, really reserved, wasn't really making plans, not wanting to hang out, and basically it boiled down to he wasn't looking for a relationship right now, which definitely would have been nice to know sooner. So fast forward to the first weekend of August. I'm at Disco Pig with my friend Rebecca. I decided to hit him up with a little "Hey stranger." Keep in mind we haven't spoken in like 3 months. So he comes over to my place, and the next morning he makes it very clear that he's not looking for anything serious. And I tell him that's cool, I'm gonna continue going on dates with people. And I did. I end up seeing him again the weekend of my birthday party. These past 2 times I saw him, he was a lot more like the guy I first dated than the guy at the end. Our conversations were better, and he was just a lot more like interested. When we were like dating previously, he wasn't the best at making plans, which I do understand to an extent for like restaurants because I'm vegan and have a severe allergy, and it's just a lot easier for me to like find places I can eat at. But especially towards the end, he just made absolutely no effort. So this time around, I was like, I'm not gonna text him. Like, I've initiated it this past 2 times. He needs to like text me first. Spoiler alert, that did not happen. I ended up texting him last week, just a casual, hey, come over, I wanna see you. And instead of being like, yeah, I can come over these days, these times, whatever, he asked if I wanted to go to dinner. But I agreed to dinner, and he actually picked the place this time. We're going to My Neighbor Felix, which I'm super excited about because it is decorated so cute for spooky season. But I did ask him to make a reservation, and he said he would. He also initially texted me saying he was really looking forward to it, and once again at the beginning of this week saying, I'm really looking forward to our dinner. I really don't know if this is an actual date or he just wants to hang out. Because on one hand, like 2.5 months ago, he told me he wasn't looking for anything serious, but now he's asking me out for dinner and saying he's really excited for it. So I'm just confused because I definitely would still be open to being in a relationship with him if he put in that effort to text me, to communicate with me, to make plans. And I still have feelings for him. I wish I didn't, but that's just not how it works. My goal was honestly to go on a bunch of dates and find someone else I was at least interested in enough to go on a second date with, to like occupy that space, but dating has not been going well. The biggest piece of advice I've heard from friends about this situation is that men are dumb and you have to tell them what you want. I think my communication is definitely something I can work on in life, is just being more open and trusting with people. I definitely have anxious and avoidant attachment styles, and I know that's not healthy, but we're working on it.